For over 300 years, one single dynasty absolutely dominated the Indian subcontinent. They built an empire of just staggering wealth, brilliant art, and created architectural wonders that, let's be honest, still blow our minds today. This is the incredible story of the Mughals, a dynasty that literally reshaped a continent.
You know, it's the ultimate story of rise and fall, isn't it? How on earth does a dynasty go from creating something as breathtaking and timeless as the Taj Mahal to just, well, fading away? That's the big question we're going to tackle here as we dig into the genius, the ambition, and yeah, the fatal flaws of the mighty Mughal Empire.
All right, so every great story has to start somewhere. And for the Mughals, it doesn't begin with a giant established kingdom. Nope, it starts with the raw ambition of one single determined warrior prince from Central Asia.
So let's meet the man who kicked it all off, Babur. Now, this guy was a descendant of both Timur and Genghis Khan, so you could say conquest was literally in his blood. In 1526, he marches into India to take on the massive army of the Delhi Sultan. And even though his forces were way outnumbered, he brought something new to the fight, a piece of technology that was about to change everything.
This was Babur's ace up his sleeve, gunpowder. He brought firearms and mobile cannons to a battlefield that was still dominated by war elephants and cavalry. The Sultan's army, they had absolutely no idea what hit them. This wasn't just a military revolution that won a single battle. It blasted the doors wide open for a brand new empire.
But, holding on to an empire wasn't quite so simple. Babur's son, Humayun, had such a rough go of it that he was actually kicked out of India completely. He spent years in exile before he could fight his way back. It's a pretty stark reminder of just how shaky those early days really were.
But after those really shaky beginnings, the empire didn't just stabilize. Oh no, it entered its golden age. This was the era of the Great Mughals, the rulers who would expand, centralize, and beautify their realm on a truly epic scale.
And that era really begins with this man, Akbar. He comes to the throne as a teenager, get this, just 13 years old, and will go on to become probably the most important ruler in the whole dynasty. He wasn't just another conqueror, he was a true visionary.
See, what made Akbar so brilliant was that he understood how to rule over a huge, incredibly diverse population. He promoted religious tolerance, he got rid of the unpopular jizya tax on non-Muslims, and he actively encouraged this amazing blend of cultures. He even created his own unique faith. Now, this wasn't just wishful thinking. It was smart, pragmatic politics designed to hold a massive empire together.
This cultural foundation then led to the absolute pinnacle of Mughal splendor, and that was under Akbar's grandson, Shah Jahan. If Akbar's genius was in administration, Shah Jahan's was all about architecture. His reign is when the empire's unbelievable wealth was put on full, breathtaking display for the entire world to see.
And I mean, the results really speak for themselves. The Taj Mahal, the Red Fort, the Jama Masjid, these aren't just buildings. They are powerful statements of power, of faith, and of pure artistic perfection. This was the empire at its most confident, its most wealthy, and its most creative.
Okay, but all of this incredible art and massive expansion had to be paid for, right? It needed a really sophisticated machine running in the background. So how did the Mughals actually manage such a huge and diverse territory? What was the engine that powered this whole thing?
Well, the heart of their administration was something called the Mansabdari system. It was this really unique hybrid of a military hierarchy and a civil service, all rolled into one. Officials, who were called Mansabdars, were given a rank, and that rank determined their salary and, crucially, how many soldiers they had to provide for the emperor. This system was the absolute backbone of Mughal power. And here's basically how it all worked. It starts at the top. The emperor grants ranks to his Mansabdars. Those officials then go and manage their lands and collect revenue through a really efficient tax system called Zabt, which was based on how much was being grown. All that wealth then flowed right back to the central treasury, which is what funded the army, the government, and of course all of those magnificent building projects.
But an empire isn't just about taxes and armies. It's about culture, and the Mughal Empire was this incredible melting pot. Persian, which was the language of the court, it blended with local Indian languages to create Urdu. The art, the food, the music, it all reflected this amazing fusion of traditions, creating a legacy that is still so vibrant today.
But, as we all know, no golden age can last forever. After reaching that unbelievable peak, the magnificent structure of the Mughal Empire began to show some serious cracks.
The long, slow decline had begun.
And a lot of people point to this one ruler as the turning point, Aurangzeb. He was a brilliant military commander who expanded the empire to its largest it had ever been. But here's the paradox. In achieving this peak, he may have stretched the empire to its breaking point.
I mean, the contrast with his father, Shah Jahan, it's like night and day. Where Shah Jahan was all about culture and building, Aurangzeb was all about conquest and war. Those policies of religious tolerance that Akbar had worked so hard to build, they were reversed for a much stricter interpretation of Islamic law. And as a result, the empire got sucked into constant, draining warfare.
And this massive shift, it had some pretty serious consequences. The treasury was basically emptied by these endless wars. With the emperor's power weakened at the center, powerful nobles and regional groups like the Marathas started to challenge Mughal rule, carving out their own territories. It was like the empire was starting to crumble from the inside out.
But even though the empire itself eventually dissolved, its echoes are still heard all across modern India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. The Mughal story didn't really end, you could say it just transformed.
You just can't deny the Mughal legacy. They took a vast and diverse land and unified it with administrative systems that would influence governments for centuries to come. They left behind a breathtaking architectural heritage and fostered a unique cultural blend that still defines so much of the subcontinent to this day.
From the words we use, to the food we eat, to the monuments we admire, their world is absolutely still with us. The emperors are gone, sure, but their empire, in so many ways, remains. So the real question for us is, where do you see its reflection in your world today?